flashing we might be live now. Brendan, I'd say leave well enough alone. The camera seems to be working. It didn't seem to be operating during the gospel there. At any rate, we're on the radio, so that's fine. Don't need to be looking at my face all the time, so that's good too. So very good. A lovely feast day today, Our Lady of Lourdes, and that beautiful reading from the prophet Isaiah, speaking of the endearing blessing of motherhood, the child at the breast, the closeness between baby and the dependence on baby and mother, and the real bonding that takes place. It is a beautiful aspect of human nature, the bonding that takes place between mother and child during feeding like that. And it's a very dignified thing, a very beautiful closeness. Again, the words are insufficient in a way. The maternal instinct that must flow and the great love from the heart of a mother towards her child, nursing there with her. And Our Lady surely again nursing the child Jesus in the very same way. And that speaks to us then of the maternal relationship that Our Lady enjoys with us, and that indeed we as children of the Church enjoy with our mother, the Church too. We feed in the same way. We are nursed by the Church through the grace and power of the sacraments of the Word of God and the Holy Eucharist too. We are fed from the lifeblood of Christ through the Church. So it is a powerful image to help us really understand how much we are loved and endeared and nurtured by and so dependent upon our Mother, the Church, and in the same way our Heavenly Mother, who it is brings us her divine Son, Jesus. And so any of the apparitions in relation to Our Lady, she's always appearing in that way as a Heavenly Mother, overflowing with love for us, her dear children, and yearning and beckoning and encouraging and drawing us onwards into the divine life of her Son. And this is precisely why the beautiful reading of the Gospel is chosen for today too, Our Lady of Lourdes, that of seeking to recognize that she asks us to do whatever her Son tells us to do. And again, from that commission and from that obedience comes abundance. The jars are filled to the brim with water, capable of holding 20 or 30 gallons. 6 of them there, that's 180 gallons, 900 litres, an off-license full of wine, and the best wine left to last, at simply the invitation of Our Lady and the command of Jesus. So that's the super abundance in which the Lord seeks to bestow his blessings upon us, his children, through our Mother, the Church. Now, if you've ever been to Lourdes, many of you indeed will already know the superabundance of grace that flows there. And it's imaged so powerfully for us in the river. If you have a Radio Maria calendar, we have a beautiful picture of Lourdes there, taken from the Stations of the Cross, the ones on the ground level, on the far end of the shrine, beyond the bats there, on the opposite side of the river from the grotto. And you can see the river in full spate. And if you're standing next to it, certainly in the early summer, the melting waters from the French Pyrenees are flowing down from the mountains, the snows there, and the river is just gushing with a depth of water there that if you fell into it, you wouldn't get back out. You'd be washed up somewhere, who knows how many miles downstream probably. Just the flow of water there is extraordinary, and it's so close to the grotto, but it reminds us of, always reminds me at any rate, again of the superabundance of God's grace that flows in that holy place. And when we see all the sick who come to there in such great numbers, and bringing, again, there's just a flow of people coming to receive the healing presence and maternal influence of Our Lady, not always getting up from their wheelchair or from their stretcher, but receiving grace nonetheless. And those who might not otherwise appear to be physically ill, but come likewise with their burdens, and may have interior illness or suffering or mental anguish, or most certainly all of us who would travel to Lourdes, without exception, would have the burden of sin and the weakness of our nature, from which we need deliverance and healing regularly too. And that flood of grace that comes through the amazing miracles that have taken place at Lourdes, those who've been physically healed, is only really an entree or a reflection of the massive graces that flow there through the sacraments and through the healing power, especially of confession. And it's been my great privilege to go there every year for well over 20 years with my own diocese of Cloyne. And it's lamentable, of course, again this year pilgrimages are having to be cancelled, and it's a great loss because it's such an endearing place to so many of us in Ireland. But no doubt there's a local grotto of Our Lady of Lourdes near you. There's one just up the road from us here in Inchicore. And how many parishes have an image of Our Lady of Lourdes and St. Bernadette, where perhaps we can make a local pilgrimage ourselves and look to Our Lady and call upon this maternal grace that she brings to us through her divine Son and through the intercession of St. Bernadette too, and all these marvellous saints as well. So let us today seek to do whatever he tells us to do, and to realize that not only is he satisfied with providing for the needs of the occasion, as indeed in the wedding feast, but superabundantly there must have been leftover wine from that feast day, and they must have been tasting it perhaps for some time afterwards, I suppose, if it was able to preserve its taste and not go sour. But at the same time, what a blessing for this newly married couple, and what a blessing for all their guests. It must have been the talk of the town and the talk of that wedding day for years afterwards. They didn't have videos to play back and to watch and to see who was there and who wasn't there, and what was said and what wasn't said. This would have gone all over the countryside, no doubt, too. So the Lord lets his glory be seen. He does so at Lourdes as well, through our Blessed Lady. He lets his glory be seen in us today, who come to drink and to feed through word and sacrament too, at the rich banquet that he bestows upon us here.